Over.
Had this big hangover, and I called a realtor friend of mine to put the house on the market.
Oh my God.
And I called this friend of mine, this woman designer, decorator, and she was interested in all my prints. I had 18th to 19th century prints. And, you know,
you had accumulated a lot of stuff by then.
Right. And
yeah.
I had a bunch of Aubrey Beardsley and, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And she came, I said, look, I want to sell my whole collection of prints, and you do enough work, you can place them and so on. She said, great, I'll come over Monday morning. I said, okay. And then I called this friend of mine. I actually called 3 dealers, book dealers, up in 2 in Minneapolis and 1 in Denver. And the youngest guy, who had actually worked for me for a while, nice guy. He was in his second year as an independent book dealer, and he was struggling, but he was doing okay.
Yeah.
And I called all 3 of them up and talked to them, and the Denver dealer said, no, I can't get there, and I got enough books anyway.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 Minneapolis dealers both said they'd come down, but the other one said he couldn't come until Tuesday. And the young
and by now you really want to speed things up, right?
The young one says, I'll be down there tomorrow, Sunday.
All right.
So
cool.
he comes driving in.
Wow.
Sunday morning, and he said, I'd like to buy everything, the inventory of the books. I had reference books. I had it essentially segregated in 3 parts.
Mm-hmm.
The books for sale, the reference books, which are really valuable. Most of them at that time out of print.
Oh, wow. Available. Sure.
And then the other section was my mailing list, which was very valuable.
Wow.
So I said to him, and I'd given him prices, and it came to about $38,000 for all 3. And he said, I just don't have that kind of money. I said, what kind of money have you got? And he said, I got about $15,000. I said, all right, look, write me a check for 10 and pay me another 10 in 90 days.
Wow.
And you can take everything.
Jesus.
And I said, but I'm really of 2 minds about the mailing list. I said, I'm going to go through it and comb out the good customers who don't mind. But I'm also going to drop everybody a note to say that I'm leaving the business, and I don't want to sell their names, but I'll give them to this guy who's buying my stuff.
Wow. Cool.
And they'll write directly to you if they want to be on the list.
Sure. Right on.
He said, great. So I didn't sell the list.
Yeah. Right.
Because I really felt, conscience bound.
Right.
To not do that.
Right.
So
I understand.
He said, I can write you a check for 10 today. I said, let's go down and rent you a trailer and load up.
Wow.
So we loaded everything up. So on Monday morning, my house is on the market, and I've written this letter. My book inventory's gone. My print inventory I sold to her in the morning. So the house is just about empty except for some furniture.
Man.
And I booked a flight to Antigua, Guatemala to go to school.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I had $26,000 in cash, and I just stuck it in the bank, and then I sent out a postcard to all my clients and said, I'm having a party next Friday, and I'm leaving the country to go to Guatemala, and it's going to be a big party and mellow. Well, I ended up having 500 people come to this party.
Oh, man.
And it was old Army buddies who flew in from Chicago and Denver.
Oh, my God.
And it was customers. It was you'd find bikers sitting next to librarians.
All right. Yeah.
And talking. And all these artist friends. And it was the most wonderful party.
Oh my God.
And it started on Friday at 6 in the evening, and at 6 on Saturday, 6 o'clock in the afternoon or in the evening on Saturday, we decided to call it quits, and I took my buddies to the airport and went back and went to sleep.
Oh man.
And we had the best time. And at the party, this one guy said to me, "Look, I'd like to rent your house until it's sold."
Yeah.
And I said, "Okay." So he rented, and he didn't have a lot of money, but he could sort of take care of it. Well, I'm ready to go on 2 weeks after that Friday night. I'm ready to leave. I'm going to be leaving Saturday morning for Guatemala.
Uh-huh.
And this guy says to me, this real estate agent says, "Hey, Richard, I got the strangest proposal. I want to come over and tell you right away." I said, "Okay." And it turns out that I sat in a real odd location, and I had spent $24,000 to build the house, it was an old house.
Yeah.
And to buy it and fix it up.
Mm-hmm.
And this, behind me was all this land that was owned by the railroad, and the railroad was getting set to sell that land at
I see.
auction. And they needed my spot for access off the main road.
Oh my.
So this guy offered he basically said, "Look, I'll give you $5,000 to hold the property for me
Oh wow.
for 90 days.
Dang.
And I'll pay the full price
Uh-huh.
at the end of 90 days."
Right on, man.
And so
Damn, you got lucky right and left.
the house was for sale at $34,000, and he gave me the $5,000 that day.
Mm-hmm.
And
You held the house.
And my real estate agent took care of all the details. House was sold, paid off, and I had an extra $6,000 after everything.
Wow.
And I was off to Central America, and I didn't come back for a year.
Oh man.
And I learned Spanish the first 3 weeks. I was down there in classes, and then I didn't speak English for a year.
Good for you, man. That's the way to do it.
I just had 3 weeks of classroom study and then didn't speak English. And I didn't know how to be a photojournalist. I'd taken pictures before, but I didn't have any clue about photojournalism. So I went around taking pictures and trying to meet market the whole way to sell them. And
Oh my
pretty
God.
soon I was streaming
Wow.
for
Jesus.
Australian Wire Service.
Man.
And then the first year I sold $900 worth of photos and spent $12,000. The second year I spent $15,000 and sold $6,000.
All right.
And the third year I sold $26,000 and spent $12,000.
Dang. Quite a
But-
change in numbers there.
But I was working real hard at it. You know, it was every day and out
Right.
and
Yeah.
shooting lots and finding out what they wanted.
Right.
A lot of times I'd have great shots, but they didn't want them,
Uh-huh.
you know, and you'd have to get what they wanted.
Right.
Well, after a while, I was really pretty good, but I'd get bored with providing what they wanted,
Oh yeah.
you know,
Just want to do your own stuff.
and I'd get pissed off. They'd send me to El Salvador. I was in El Salvador a number of times. Finally, I just moved there. And I'm in El Salvador, and they're trying to get me to go out and take pictures of the politicians.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying, wait a minute, it's Elliot Abrams
Boring
that got
stuff.
us into this stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm not
Right.
going to promote